This Mishnah we learned about different things that can be said b'chol lashon, and other things that can be said only b'lashon kodesh. Now the Gemara is going to go to each one to tell us how we know that it could be b'lashon kodesh, it has to be b'lashon kodesh, and how we know it could be b'chol lashon. So we'll start on top of the page over here, right? It starts Gemara, the top line. On the Lamed Beis on base. Incidentally, tonight there's going to be a fire adloka by Horowitz, huh? Or Shalom Horowitz. You know the address? I know he knows the address. Do you know the address? So where are you going to go?
Going to the alley, you'll see the Savannah Gizim.
He's going to follow the smoke.
It's a 467 Empire Boulevard, and there's not just the secret of Lag Baimer, but there's also food come with together. It's like we say in davening, "L'seiva v'lo rozen."
And also, it says it's not so much smoke because the past couple of years they do it with oil. So Baruch Hashem, there isn't so much smoke.
Okay. It's not the first thing that's mentioned in the Mishnah is Pashta Sotah, that's said b'chol lashon. So the Gemara says Pashta Sotah minoran. How do we know that it's b'chol lashon? The Gemara says the Ksibidik says v'omer hakayin la'isha b'chol lashon shuayma. You can say it in any language you want. You want the woman to understand it. So any language that she understands, that's how you say it. Tana Rabbanan mashmiyan oisa b'chol lashon shehi shemas. In every language that she understands, we let her know. No, we let her know amahi shaisa, why she's drinking, v'kamei ubamehi shaisa, and how much or what she's going to be drinking. Amanit mas, on what tumah are we talking about over here? Ubameh hinit mas, and what caused the tumah? So the Gemara, all this, the Kain tells her all these things. So the Gemara explains, Amai shaisa al iske kinu ustira. You're drinking because your husband warned you and you went into seclusion, that's why you're drinking. Ubamei shaisa, in what she drinks, b'mekida shocheres, in a cup, that's an earthenware cup, and it's a very low level cup. Amehin it mas, what caused her tumor? Al iske schaik v'yaldus, because you acted, you thought you're playing around, you're joking around, and you acted immature. Ubamehin it mas, what does it mean? What she became tummy? We know what it means. No, he says no, because we have to verify if b'shoigeg or b'mezid, b'aynis or b'rotzen. It's a very big difference. Even if you became tummy, you had relation, but maybe it was b'shoigeg. So if the water is going to have an effect on you, that means it was b'rotzen. If it's not going to have an effect on you, that means that it was either nothing happened or it was ba'aynis. So why do we have to tell her all these things? So in order that if she comes out and nothing happened to her, so she'll say, the water's a joke, it doesn't do anything. So she should know that it's a possibility that it may not do anything, and you wouldn't be surprised if it didn't do anything. Vidu Maisa, we said that could be b'chol lashon. So he said, we know it, how do we know it? The pasuk says, v'yamat l'fnei Hashem Elokecha, v'yalti ha'kodesh min habayis. And because it says v'yamat, you should say, so v'yalef amira misaita, by sotah state the lashon before v'omer hakayin, So maybe we learn from over there that the Chol Loshin Shu Oimer, you can say it in any language, the Vidu in any language that is. Amalei Rav Zvid, Rabbayis, Rav Zvid, asked Rabbayim, V'leila of Amira Milaviyim. Why don't we learn from the Levium by the Har Gizim over there in the Har Evel that they said it B'Lashon Kodesh? So he said, why don't we say Mala Halam B'Lashon Kodesh Afkam B'Lashon Kodesh? So he answers, Donan Amida Greidesom Me Amida Greidesom Vein Donan Amida Greidesom Me Ania Via Malta. Dalton steht, over here it says, but by Meister steht Nisa Via Malta. So Mela, it's not the same because over there it just says Ania, and it just says Amida. It doesn't say the lesson. It just says Amida. Tanya, Reb Shimon ben Yechoy Eimer, fits for tonight. Adam Eimer Shvache Bekol Nomach, Veganusai Bekol Ram. He says if a person, when he wants to talk about his praise, you don't talk too loud. When you want to talk about things that you're wrong, that you should talk loud. So the Gemara says that Shvacha B'Kol Namoch, where do we find that you should say you're Shvach B'Kol Namoch? Min Vidu Maisa. By Vidu Maisa, state, V'alti HaKodesh Merabayis, I'm coming here now and I did the right thing and all the things I did nothing wrong. I did everything properly. And Ganusai Mikol Rom, we learn Mimikro Bekurim. By Bekurim state Aram Yovedovi. So over there you see that is that you don't say so loud. It doesn't say.
But don't we lay in the parsha? Don't we say Bi'arti HaKodesh loud? We don't. The Chazan doesn't say that part louder.
Huh?
When the Kriya, when he says the pasuk Bi'arti HaKodesh, isn't that the pasuk that he's supposed to say louder? Yeah. Oh, that's the next pasuk anyway. Okay, all right.
Frag the Gemara, the Ganusa B'Kol Ram. Are you supposed to go loudly proclaim your not nice things about you? V'Amar Rabbi Yechon said Mishum Reb Shimon ben Yechoy, Mipnei Ma Teknu Tefillah B'Lachash. Why did they make that the Mashur the Shmona Esrei should be B'Lachash? Kidei Shaloi Luvayish Ois Eivei Aveda. In order not to embarrass Eivei Aveda. Sharei, and where do we see that the Torah is concerned about Eivei Aveda? Sharei Lo Cholak HaKoso Mokem Ben Chatas Ha'oila. Oila you bring like for goodwill. Oila is an adava. A chatas you bring for a sin, and the din is that when it comes to you have to do the zrikas adam. So
It's the same place.
They're both geschochten in the same place. By the Sofan of the Mizbeach, they're both geschochten in the same place. So you wouldn't know what it's for.
So not to embarrass the person says the chatas.
Zakt the Mora, loiteim beganusay eletzarai. That we're not saying that things that you did not good, you should go around and scream loud about it. Tzara means expressing your hurt. That you should do v'kodom k'desanya v'tomei tomei yikra, by the person that's sent out of the machna. State v'tomei tomei yikra. Tzarech loidia tzara v'rabim. And why? Because v'rabim mevakshim ol brachim. And v'chol mi she'ira by David, anything that something happened to him, and he wants to get help. Tzarech loidia v'rabim mevakshim ol brachim. Okay.
So
Derech Agav,
what
just
is
for
that tefillah?
a shtickle drushvot. There's a pasuk in Tillim. Give me a Tillim minute.
This is the Makkah of Mishabera.
Over here it says Ashrei Maskal El Dol. So they ask a question. Wasn't me Ashrei Maskal El Dol? The one that uses seichel to help the Ottoman. So they ask, first of all, why does it say Ashrei Maskal? It should say Ashrei Nissen. What's the seichel over here? Weiter, why does it say Dol? In the Kafas we say Oiza Dala Mashiach. We also say Oiza Dola Mashiach. Why over here does it say Dol with a comets? So they say that there's the difference between a Pasach and a comets. I once explained this already. That Pasach is open. In other words, when the doctor wants to check your throat, he says, open your mouth and say, ah. So you have to open your mouth. And the comets is closed. Like the word kamitza. When you take off the kli, you close it in the palm of your hand. So they said there's two types of Ottoman. There's an Ottoman with a Pasach, and there's an Ottoman with a comets. There's an Ottoman that goes around saying, ich bin an Ottoman, I need help. Comes, shamsichnet. And there's an Ottoman with a comets. So the Ottoman with the Pasach, if he's not ashamed about it, and he walks around publicly open, people give him. But the Ottoman with the comets, there's a big problem with him. He's ashamed to say about it, so no one knows to give him. So the Rebbe said, Ashrei Maskal, he has seichel to dol, how to get this Ottoman with the closed mouth, how to get him to take also. So he said, that it says he have sort of idea, sorry, but now the Gemara is going to explain this thing. But the Gemara is like Gufa. We just learned. Amr Rabbi Yechon Mishum Mishum Ben Yechoy. Mibnei Matikna Tfilah B'Lachash. Shaloi Levayish Es Oiver. We just learned that, and he brings a proof. Sharei LeCholach HaKosav Mokim Bechatas LeOyla. That they try to both of them are geshecht in the same place. So you can't say Azay if it's being different places. So you'll see right away. Oh, this must be someone did something wrong. But this way you can't talk. Is it true that there's no chiluk between a chatas and a aylam? There is the blood that has to be spritz on the mizbeah. The din is dam chatas l'mayla, v'dam ayla l'mata. Around the mizbeah there was a chut sikra. There was a red thread, and that red thread divided the upper part of the mizbeah with the lower part of the mizbeah, and there was a difference where you threw the blood. So chatas is l'mayla, and ayla is l'mata. So the Gemara, Hassam over there, Kohen hu the Yoda. Over there, there's not a problem, right? Because the only one that does it is the Kohen. So, but no one else is around to see it. So it's not called a publicizing it. Track the Gemara, Bo'ika chatas nekeva, and oila zacha. When you're walking with your animal, you see he's walking in with an animal, you can tell right away. If he's bringing a chatas, he's bringing an oila, because this is a zach and this is in the cave. And for the Gemara, that's not a problem. You can't see why, because hasam mechasir be'alya, it's covered with the tail. The simon to be able to see what's zach and what's the cave is covered with a tail, so you can't see it. So the Gemara, tainach kizba. This is good if it's a shepsel. So a shepsel has a tail. You could bring a kevis or a soya. A soya is a goat, and a goat doesn't have a tail. So the difference, what it is. So the Gemara, Hassam over there, Iyo the Kamilsev Nafshe. The Torah didn't. The Torah doesn't want to embarrass anyone, but he's a fool and he embarrassed himself. Who told you to bring a soya? You have a bread to bring a kevis, a shepsel. Why'd you bring a soya? Then you don't care for your own covet. No, okay, for following. What can we do? But we tried to protect you because we said that you could bring a kevis. If you're blaming it on him, that he had a choice, but the Torah didn't want it to protect you, let me say the words again. He himself is embarrassing himself. The boy kipsa. He should have bring a shepsel. And he brings a soya. So you're a fool. You did it for yourself. What are you going to say? If it was a question of Avodah Zarah, you must bring a soya. So he has no other choice. So why did the Torah say over there you should bring a soya? You told me that the Torah wants to protect the person, not to embarrass him. And for the Gemara, he deserves it. Like a guy in din Avodah Zarah, he deserves it. In order to have as a dvar for Hashem, he'll be broken, and they'll be broken. He'll do tshuva, and he will be forgiven. Now, another thing that was mentioned in Mishnah was Kriya Shema. Where do we know that? And for the Gemara, because the pasuk says, Shema Yisrael, b'chol loshen shavta shemeya. Any language, you can hear any language. So you have to hear. So it's any language that your ear can hear. So tomorrow, Tana Rabbanon, the Rabbanon learned Kriya Shema Kiksava. The Rabbanon hold that Kriya Shema must be dafka Lashon Kodesh. It's written in the Torah. It's written in Lashon Kodesh. It's dafka Lashon Kodesh. Divrei Rabbi. This is what the Rabbi says. The Chacham said b'chol Lashon. So the Gemara, my time with the Rabbi, that he says that it should be Lashon Kodesh. He says Amakra. The pasuk says v'hoyu is b'haviyosem yiyu. They should be the way they are. In other words, the way they are in the Torah, that's how it should be alavavcha when you want to say it. But Rabbanan, and the Rabbanan that hold it b'chol lashon, they say Amakra. The pasuk says Shema b'chol lashon shavta shemeya. It depends on your hearing, any language that you could hear. Which means to say that it should be Lashon Kodesh. So he says no. Hahu, you know what that teaches us? That you shouldn't read it backwards. You should read it the way it's written. Don't start from Visharecha and go back to the beginning. In fact, the Gemara, Rabbi, and according to Rabbi, how does he know? He used the Lashon already for another thing. And for the Gemara, Nafkalei midvarim hadvarim. It says, it could have said hadvar. It says hadvarim, and it could have said dvarim. And so the extra hey teaches us that you shouldn't read l'mefreya. And for Rabbanon, dvarim hadvarim loy mashma. They don't hold that this is a proper drasha. They don't hold that the hay is maybe the extra. It's mainly they don't need it for that. In fact, the Gemara, V'Rabbi Nami Hoksiv Shema. It says Shema. Shema means that it depends on your hearing. You could hear it in English, and you could hear it any language you could hear. It's the best. The main thing is hearing. So the Gemara, Ahumi Boile, you need that not to tell you that it could be in any language. That you shouldn't just like look at it, with your eyes. Some people that they read with their eyes. They don't say anything, but they read with their eyes. They look and they're reading. So he says, Lashmiya la'azacha, you have to say you have to express it verbally that you should hear what you're saying. V'Rabbanan, and according to Rabbanan, how do they know that you have to express it verbally? Sotah, Kesavra, Sabri law, they hold Commandi Oma, Kaida as a Shma, B'lei Yishmi Lozna is Yotza.
Straight up.
So there's no problem. They don't need a limit for that because you don't have to. You could read it with your eyes. So the Gemara Lema, should we say, Kesavra Rebbe, that the Rebbe holds that Kol HaTorah B'chol Lashon Nemra, that the whole Torah is in any language. The Salkadaita B'Lashon HaKodesh Nemra, if you'll say that the whole Torah has to be Dafka B'Lashon HaKodesh, why did the Torah have to write specially by Shema Yisrael that V'hoyu it should be B'Lashon Kodesh? So we want to say that Bibal that he has a special limud that has to be B'Lashon Kodesh. That means that Shema is different than Kol HaTorah Kula. So the Gemara Itzach, the emphasis that Kol HaTorah Kula is not B'Lashon is B'Lashon Kodesh. But Itzach, we need it Mishum D'Ksiv Shema, because it says Shema. I would think that it doesn't have to be Lashon Kodesh. That's why we need a pasuk over here that we would think that this is different than the whole Torah, that it doesn't have to be Lashon Kodesh. So we have because it says Shema. That's why we need a pasuk for Hoyut. The Torah has to be Lashon Kodesh. Now the Gemara asks the same question about the Rabbanon. Lema, should we say Kesabri Rabbanon Kol HaTorah Kul B'Lashon Kodesh Nemra, that the whole Torah is B'Lashon Kodesh? Why? Because the Isak Adaita B'chol Lashon, so Shema de Kosach Monu Lamri, so Shema wouldn't be any different. Why do you need a limit for Shema? And for the Gemara Itzach, Mishum D'Ksiv B'Hoyu, because it says B'Hoyu, and B'Hoyu means Dafke this way, so therefore you need the pasuk Shema that it could be B'chol Lashon. Okay. Now the Gemara said Tefillah. Another thing that we do in Chol Lashon is Tefillah. So the Gemara, why? So the Gemara, because Rachmihi, Tefillah, you're asking for the Eibusha to have Rachmanas on you. Is Be'el Kol Hecha the boy Masli, any way that you want to pray. You're asking the Eibusha. The Eibusha understands every language. So any way that you want to pray to the Eibush in any language, that's how you should do it. In fact, the Gemara, Utfila b'chol lashon. Are you telling me that Tefillah is b'chol lashon? V'Omer Rabbi Yehuda said, V'oilam al yishol odom tzracha b'lashon aramis. When a person prays, he shouldn't pray in Aramaic. Why? Because the Omer Rabbi Yechanan said, Kol asher tzracha b'lashon arami. The Malach Ashores can't help him.
They don't speak that language.
Because Lafish Ain Malach Ashores Makidim B'Lashon Arami. And when it's like when you want to come to the Eibishter, so you're sending your prayer up to the Eibishter, and then there's Malachim that they take your prayer and they bring your prayer to the Eibishter. So but if you're going to come and pray, and the Malachim are not going to stand, they can't deliver it to the Eibishter. There's a story, the Chaga with the Tzemach Tzedek, that the Tzemach Tzedek's wife used to say a lot of Tillim, but she read Tillim with a lot of mistakes. So the children, when they were young, they used to laugh at her. So she asked one of the rabbis, I don't know, maybe one.
The rabbis did it Tzemach Tzedek Sabbath.
The Tzemach Tzedek Sabbath. So she asked her father, or she asked, she was the daughter of the she was a daughter of the Mittler Rebbe, no?
Right.
Yeah. So she asked her father, maybe she should stop saying Tillim, because she's saying with mistakes, and so he said to her, you keep saying, and the Malachim that have to deliver it, they'll clean it up, they'll straighten it out already. But you keep saying. So the same thing over here, he said, we bowed the malach don't understand Lashon Arami, so they don't know how to work with it. It's a language that they're not familiar with.
So, but then they used to.
Zak the Mora like kasher, ha b'yachid, ha b'tziba. When do you need to have the malachim to help you out? When b'yachid, when a yachid comes to daven, so they don't know who are you. So you need the malachim to put in a good word for you. But the kayach of tziba don't need the malachim. And with tziba, when they daven, it goes up direct, so to say.
But I don't understand that the average person in the times of the Beis Hamikdash for around 1,000 years, that's all they spoke was Lashon Arami.
No.
Not all of them were Talmid Chacham to know Lashon Kodesh. Not everyone had a Jewish education. That's
what
do you have Targum Unclus for?
That's why they said don't daven in Arami.
Don't daven in Arami. You had no choice.
So they say to him, okay, you have no choice. You know what? Go to shul to daven. And don't daven in your house by the kaisel.
If you daven a minyan, you just said you don't have no problem.
Yeah. Zot the Gemara. Fragt die Gemara jetzt, ve'ein malach ha'shoris makiyim b'lashon Arami? Is it really so that the malachim don't know Lashon Arami? But Tanya, we're going, Yechanan the Kohen Gadol, he Shama Baskol mi beis Kodesh HaKadoshim. He heard a Baskol coming from the Kodesh HaKadoshim. Shehu Oimer, that the Baskol said, it was like an announcement. It said as follows: Nitzchu Talia. Talia is the young people, the young soldiers were successful. The Ozu Lagocha Krova Lantucha. They went to war against Lantucha and they defeated him. So you see that they speak the language, because the state this is an Aramaic. So how can, if they can speak it, it could be that they don't understand it. It doesn't sound right. Rashi says this was in the time by the Chashmonaim with the Yevonim, with having a war with the Yevonim, and they fought on Yom Kippur. So he heard on Yom Kippur, but when he was going in and out of the Kodesh HaKadoshim, so he heard this voice coming. And a baskol is a higher voice, like it's not it's like a special voice, like a voice from heaven, so to say. It's not.
So baskol says it's a malach.
Huh? What?
Who says it's a malach?
A malach. Okay. Zok the Gemara v'shuv Maisa, and there's another story. Shimon HaTzadik. Shimon HaTzadik was also a Kohen Gadol. Sheshoma Baskol mi beis Kodashim. That he heard a voice from Kodesh HaKadoshim. Shu'ayma, that he heard B'tegas Avidata. In other words, that the army is no longer existing. The Amma Sinna, that the Sinner said, Las Shiur al Heichola, they were planning to come to destroy the Beis Hamikdash. Why? And Venerag Gas Kalgas was a general, and he's a king. He was a Greek king. Ubatluk Zayraisa. Once the king wanted to destroy the Beis Hamikdash, he was planning to send an army, and Shimon HaTzadik was being mispalel that he shouldn't succeed. So he heard a baskol saying that the king died, and b'meila, once the king died, everything is cancelled. And because through Oisei Shah, and they wrote down the hour that he heard this baskol at 3:00 in the afternoon, and the chivnu, and they Well, Mechavan, when they checked later, and they called to find out when did the king, what time was it when the king died? It was exactly 3 o'clock in the afternoon. U'b'Lashon Arami haya omer, and it was in Lashon Arami. So you see that the Malachim do understand Arami. So the Gemara, I could answer you the following. Iboy said, if you want, I'll tell you. Baskol Shani, the Lashmir Avida. A Baskol is not a Malach. It's a special type of a voice which is made to give announcements. Iboy Seimer, Gabriel Have, the Baskol was tak a Malach, but it was the Malach Gabriel. And the Omar, and we learned that Bo Gabriel v'limdoi shiva lashon. There's a Maisa with Yosef and King Parei. When Yosef came to Parei, so Yosef spoke to him. Parei knew all the languages, and in order to be a melech in Mitzrayim, you have to know all the languages. So Yosef not only knew all the languages, but he also knew Aramaic. So Parei got frightened. He said, "We're going to go later in the Gemara and cite a few blocks around." So now the question is, Vanata Yosef Gulus Aramaic. They didn't speak Aramaic in his father's house. So Tada says, Bo Gabriel came and taught him Aramaic.
But it says,
What was that?
Even a Malach doesn't be going to Kedesh HaKadoshim in Kippur.
The voice came from the Ben HaKovim, but it wasn't there. Not to be able to do it. He didn't say he saw Malach, he said he heard it.
You heard a Malach.
You heard the Malach, came from over there.
Rashi says on the word Shani Basko, Rashi, Oisa Mida, Hamamuna Al-Kach, Yedas V'Shivim L'Shoinas, V'Bnei She'asuya L'Ashmiya, V'hi Mishtalechas L'Chol HaL'Shoinas, Pom L'Zeh. He's supposed to deliver messages. And maybe he has to deliver messages to everybody. So Amoli has to deliver messages to people who speak Aramaic. So he was the Basko was a special Mamuna that was well versed in all languages. Okay, now we go to the next piece of Gemara. We're going to Birchas Hananan, Birchas Hamazon, that's benching. It's Kavi V'chol Lashon. It said the Ksiv and Shed the Pasuk. V'chalta v'savata uveirachta es Hashem Elokecha v'chol Lashon she'ata mavarach. Pashat. Then Shvuah Sa'edis, that if someone swore a Shvuah that he doesn't know Edis, and then later he admits that he's false, so he has to bring a Korban Oil v'Yodid. So the Ksiv Shed Pasuk, the Nefesh Kisechta, what will be the Chait, that V'Shama Kol Ola, that it heard a Shvuah, in other words, a Shvuah that it made a Shvuah. So B'chol Lashon, Shisha Mas. It says V'Shama. It doesn't say V'Omer, it says V'Shama. Here, any language that you hear it, and Shvuahs Hapikodin, that the Gemara, Asher Techta, Mishvuahs Eidos. Over there, by both state in Techta, so you make a Gezerah Shabbat. Then we learn Ve'ilu Namorim B'Lashon HaKodesh. Now there's these things that we say Dafka B'Lashon HaKodesh. So the Gemara, one of them is Mikra Bikurim, V'Chalitza. Then goes Mikra Bikurim Kesa. State in Pasuk, V'Anisa V'Yamata L'Fnei Hashem Elokecha. Aram Yovid Avi. U'Halon U'Aime V'Onu Avi and V'Amru. So you have Aniya and Amira. And over there says on Amira and V'Amru. So we say, Ma'aniya Amura, and Ma'aniya Amura L'Halon B'Lashon HaKodesh, Af Kan B'Lashon HaKodesh. For the Gemara, you're learning it from the Levium. And you're making a statement about Levium, B'Lashon HaKodesh. For the Gemara, Levium Gufayim Minolam. How do we know about Levium was B'Lashon HaKodesh? And for the Gemara, Asher kol mi Moshe, ksiv hacha kol rom. Uksiv hasam Moshe yedaber v'akim yanenu b'koil mala halam b'lashon hakodesh. The Eibush spoke b'lashon hakodesh. Avkam b'lashon hakodesh. Then chalitza, there has to be b'lashon hakodesh. How do we know it? So the Gemara Ketzer, how do we know it? So the Gemara said that the same thing also goes to show that she should say, Me'ein Yavam Yabni. Then the Mishnah brought that the Behuda says you don't need to learn from someplace else. And it says over here, she should say Kocha, Azay. So the Gemara, V'Rabbanan, Hai Kocha my Avdilei. According to the Rabbanan, what do they do with the word Kocha? I mean, Vivaldi looking for Gzeri Shava, is Shetach Beferish Kocha. What do they explain Kocha? And for the Gemara, Mi boy Lehu, they needed Ledava Shumaisa Ma'akev. A thing that's part of the act, not the saying. A thing that's part of the act. Moshe putting on the shoe, take off the shoe. That you must do it dafket. If you don't do it, the chalitza is no good. Fact the Gemara, Rabbi Yehuda, according to Yehuda, he agrees with Rabbi. You have to do it what it says in the Torah. And so and for the Gemara, mi kai kacha. Could have said kai, and it says kacha. So the extra chaf teaches it. And for Rabbanon, kai kacha mashma. They don't hold that that's a drasha. In fact, the Gemara, Rabbi Yehuda, according to Rabbi Yehuda, that he learns it from kacha. So v'ansa v'amr maya avidhu. What does he do with the limud from v'ansa v'amr? That the other ones make a gzei shava with it. And for the Gemara, mi boile le'agmurei Levium, the B'lashon HaKodesh, you need it that the teacher has to be B'lashon HaKodesh. In fact, the Gemara V'leilu Kol mi Moshe. Why don't we also learn Kol from Moshe? And for the Gemara, Aniya Gemiri and Kol Lo Gemiri. That means that listen. When you have a Gzeri Shava, Moshe Kavul Chayma, everybody can make a Kavul Chayma. All of them don't Kavul Chayma Atzmi. But a Gzeri Shava, you can't make a Gzeri Shava. A Gzeri Shava has to be the Kabbalah that you learned it from your Rebbein. So Mameli is saying, I never learned this from my Rebbein. So I can't use the Gzeri Shava to teach me. So how do I know it? I know it from the word Kocha. Tanya Nami Hachi, Rabbi Yehuda Aima Kol Mok Mishanem Makai Akacha, Aniya V'Amira, Eina Elo B'Lashon HaKodesh. One more line. That's one example. So you know from the Kai, you know that is Lashon Kodesh. Kocha the Chalitza, and by Chalitza they have the word Kocha, and Aniya V'Amira the Levium that you know Lashon Kodesh, but not from a Gezerah Shavah. Then later you can make Gezerah Shavah from the Levium. Or this Gezerah Shavah that was mentioned before, like Gemira, he never learned that Gezerah Shavah.
You're not making Sumarabba now? Making Sumarabba now?
I'm not making, you're making.
You want me to make, but you don't want to hear my explanation, you know?
Yeah, we'll see.
Because exactly the opposite direction from your explanation, the Rambam.
Huh?
My explanation is exactly the opposite direction from you.
How do you know?
You want to hear it? You want me
We're
to
missing one for the
minute.
minion, though. We need one more person.
So you didn't say Tefillah B'Rabim, but he said we're all saying the same thing.
What?
tefillah b'rabbin.
Oh, you mean, what's it called?
Tefillah b'rabbin. You don't say it loud, because if someone says it loud, they'll feel bad.
Because the koyach of the Rambam goes direct. You don't need an
No, that's not in that
a
part of the
helper.
Rambam.
Which part of the Rambam you talking?
The Ois has man, lo yisham lo
That's
yidah.
Makar Mishaberach. If someone has a problem, you can say Mishaberach. If that's
And the shluchim gonna fight
Mishaberach,
one with the other.
Rabbi asked
The
Rachman
war
for
gonna fight
it's
one with the
Mishaberach
other.
comes from.
No, it's bad.
That's another thing.
Maybe the Makar comes from there.
But there's a need for tefillah b'tzibur. That's the idea of tefillah b'tzibur. It's a koyach of the Rambam. Oh, okay. We got a minion. Levi, we got it.
We even have a minute, or we have 2 minutes? Maybe like that.
You have 2 minutes. Number one, you have 2 minutes.
Minute, we have 2 minutes.
Everything you say, I'm going to sit down to say.
You're going to see the Rambam? You're going to see the Rambam?
Somebody did this.